In the last hour, China imposes tariffs as trade war hots up. China ready for proportionate response to U.S. tariffs. Envoy. China ready for proportionate response to U.S. tariffs. Envoy. In the last 2 hours, U.S. blasts China over retaliatory tariffs. Dow Jones drops almost 460 points on news of China tariffs. U.S. versus China, a slap fight, not a trade war. So far in the last 4 hours, Japan voices wariness about U.S. China tit-for-tat tariffs. China imposed tariffs on U.S. in order to balance losses. State media, no one wins. Turnbull hopeful U.S. China can avoid a trade war. U.S. ethanol braces for big hit in China market after tariffs. Trade war between U.S. and China moves a step closer. China imposes tariffs on U.S.-made pipeline materials. PM hopes U.S. China can calm trade dispute. China retaliates to U.S. tariffs. NZD, USD drops. White House, China's overcapacity is causing global steel crisis. U.S.-China trade war is a very low probability, says top market strategist. China imposed tariffs on U.S. products to balance losses. State media, China imposed tariffs on U.S. products to balance losses. State media, in the last 6 hours, China increases tariffs on U.S. products, effective immediately. China hits back at U.S. with tariffs on imports. China hammers U.S. goods with tariffs as sparks of trade war fly. China tariffs. ICE crackdown put California's leaders on spot. China slaps retaliatory tariffs on 128 U.S. imports worth $3 billion. China's retaliatory tariffs target California. Ag trade tensions worsen as China raises tariffs on U.S. goods, slapping tariffs on 128 U.S. items. China poised for further retaliation. Chart of the day. The roar of China's chin. The trade war between the U.S. and China hurts California. Earlier today, NZ dollar falls as China retaliates over U.S. tariffs. U.S. versus China called a slap fight, not a trade war. China follows through with tariff retaliation. China, U.S. talking behind the scenes, says Stratford Baker. The U.S.-China trade war could send your bacon and ham costs on a livestock. CME hogs dropped by 3-cent limit on China pork tariff hike in the last 8 hours. Emerging markets. Mexico peso dips on fears of China-U.S. trade war. The U.S. can win a trade war with China. It shouldn't try. Trump to unveil China tariffs this week. Yesterday, China tariffs have some farmers in Illinois concerned. Wine, pork pipes. China hammers U.S. goods. China slaps higher tariffs on 128 U.S. products. China trade war fears. See Wall Street stocks plunge. China hits U.S. goods with tariffs as trade war sparks fly. U.S.-China tariffs represent a slap fight, not a trade war. For now, China stands ground against U.S. with retaliatory tariffs. Video, Trump to unveil China tariffs this week. Trump trade advisor does not see U.S.-China tariff response. Spiral. Setzer says China tariff response a warm-up round. China's tariffs measured, say analysts. China imposes retaliatory tariffs on 128 U.S. products. China trade war. Gorka slams U.S. CEOs for threatening national security. Stock market stumbles to start April following China trade duty boost. White House criticizes $3 billion China tariffs. Dollar slips on China tariffs. U.S. stocks tumble. Global markets. Dollar slips on China tariffs. U.S. stocks tumble. China slaps tariffs on 128 U.S. items. Dollar weakens on worsening China-U.S. trade dispute. China imposes tariffs on long list of U.S. produced goods. Forex. Dollar weakens on worsening China-U.S. trade dispute. China tariffs and the hogs of war. Tech woes. Worsening tensions with China sink U.S. stocks. Boeing. U.S. stocks sink amid China's first round of retaliatory tariffs. Wall Street averages sell off on fears of U.S.-China trade war. U.S. versus China, a slap fight, not a trade war. So far, lawmakers from pork, soybean areas mum on China tariffs. Trump's trade war with China could trigger a vicious